What if a $5 chocolate and a $50 chocolate were exactly the same, but your brain made the expensive one taste better? It sounds crazy, but your brain can judge food before your tongue even gets a chance. The price, packaging, restaurant, and even the words on the menu create an expectation of quality. Then, when you finally take a bite, your brain may interpret the flavor through that expectation. So the real question is, does expensive food actually taste better, or does your brain simply convince you that it does? Imagine eating two identical pieces of chocolate without knowing their prices. They taste almost the same. Now you're told one costs $2 and the other $20. Suddenly, your brain has a reason to expect something different. The expensive one may feel richer, smoother, or more satisfying, even though nothing changed on the plate. That's because your brain constantly uses clues to predict what you're about to experience. Price becomes one of those clues. Before your tongue finishes the first bite, your brain may have already decided which chocolate should taste better. But the price is only the beginning. Once your brain expects expensive food to taste better, it starts looking for evidence. Imagine being told a wine is rare and costly. You may describe it as smoother or more complex than the same wine with a cheaper label. Research on food and wine perception has shown that expectations can influence how people rate flavor and enjoyment. Your taste buds still detect the same basic signals, but your brain decides what those signals mean. The food enters your mouth, but expectation enters your brain first. Now imagine a restaurant gives you the exact same dessert twice. The first time, it's described as a basic chocolate dessert. The second time, it's called a premium dark chocolate creation. The recipe hasn't changed, but your brain has. That description creates an expectation before the first bite. You may focus more on the aroma, texture, and subtle flavors because your brain is expecting something special. This is why food companies spend so much on names, packaging, and presentation. Sometimes the most powerful ingredient isn't on the plate, it's the expectation in your head. Ever notice that food somehow tastes better in a beautiful restaurant than when you eat the same thing at home? It may not be your imagination. Before the first bite, your brain is already processing the plate, colors, portion, lighting, smell, and menu description. These signals create an expectation of quality. Then your brain combines that expectation with the actual taste. That's why a carefully plated dessert can feel more luxurious than the same dessert on an ordinary plate. Your eyes see the value first, and your brain may let your tongue follow. Why does a $30 dessert sometimes feel more satisfying than a $3 one? Part of the answer may be the value your brain assigns to it. When something is expensive, rare, or difficult to get, you may pay closer attention and expect a bigger reward. That expectation can make the experience feel more special. Even the effort and money you spent can influence your judgment afterward. Your brain wants the experience to feel worth it. So sometimes you're not just tasting chocolate, cake, or coffee, you're tasting the value your brain believes you paid for. Here's the strange part. Your brain can start deciding how good a food will be before you even taste it. If you expect a $50 dish to be incredible, your attention is already searching for something impressive. The aroma, texture, richness, or finish. But if you expect cheap food to disappoint, you may notice its flaws instead. The food itself hasn't changed, the context has. Your brain blends sensory signals with expectations to create your experience. So when food tastes amazing, ask yourself, did your taste buds discover something special, or did your brain predict it first? Here's the final twist. Expensive food doesn't always win because it is objectively better. Sometimes the biggest difference happens before the first bite. Your brain sees the price, the presentation, the restaurant, and the story behind the food, and quietly builds an expectation. Then your senses deliver the flavor, and your brain combines everything into one experience. That's why the same food can feel ordinary in one setting and extraordinary in another. The next time a luxury meal tastes amazing, remember, you're not just eating the food, you're experiencing the prediction your brain made about it.